The worst has happened. You have an incident declared, you are seeing multiple services falling apart, cascading failures across the board, everybody is flocking around you to see what went wrong, trying to find answers. You are in the middle of this entire chaos, the stress is building up, you are getting anxious, you have no clue where to start. Don't worry, we've all been there. I have been doing this for many, many years, and here are 10 things part of my framework for troubleshooting, debugging, mitigating, and doing root cause analysis on difficult technical problems. Let's get started. Yes, this is a new background, this is my new setup, this is my new working studio and my new home office because I have moved to a new place and I couldn't be more excited about it. A lot of awesome stuff is gonna come out from this place right here. Obviously, there's a lot more work to be done on the setup and I have a lot of really awesome angles to shoot from. But this is all thanks to you, thanks to your support, thanks for watching the videos, and thanks for commenting and recommending them. And also for this one as well, if you feel that there is value that you got from this video, please like and subscribe and share it with everybody you think would benefit from this. Now, number one, be mechanical. Under stress, there is no room for you to be creative. But don't get me wrong, you have to be sharp, but that doesn't mean you're going to be pulling rabbits out of a hat. Fall back on what is known, fall back on the playbooks, fall back on the checklists, fall back on everything that has been documented so far, and fall back on your knowledge of this, the holistic knowledge that you have about the systems and the services you're dealing with. This is not the time to chase random things. This is not the time to start thinking about really complicated problems. First, make sure that it's none of the trivial problems that has been causing the issue at hand. More often than not, your problem has been seen before, it has been dealt with before, and now you are either dealing with a small variation of it or potentially, which is the worst case scenario, you're dealing with a recurring problem. The first objective for you here is to mitigate. You don't have to resolve the problem fully. You just have to attenuate its impact, reduce the blast radius, and make sure you recover as quickly as possible. Root cause analysis and permanently fixing the problem will come later. Number two, categorize what you are seeing. Categorize the symptoms. Category number one, cause. Category number two, consequence or symptomatic. And what that means is everything you observe might be the cause of the failures, or it could be a consequence of the failures. And there is another cause for all of this that is yet to be identified. Let's take, for example, you are seeing heavy writes or reads on your database. Is that causal or is that consequential? Heavy reads and heavy writes are more likely to be consequential because they are not the cause of a problem. They are the cause of a spike in traffic. They are a cause of an abuser. They are a cause of rate limiting failures that have allowed someone or multiple actors to cause damage on your services. It could also be an upstream dependency that is causing mayhem on one of your services. Another thing would be you're seeing a spike in the number of exceptions thrown. Is that causal or is that consequential? Obviously, exceptions are a consequence of something else that have happened. You're seeing a spike in traffic. That spike in traffic could lead to degradation in the performance and the availability of your downstream services, and that is an example of a causal event. Start narrow, then expand, and then zoom in again. And the reason I say that is if you start looking at the broad picture, you might not be able to identify what is causing all of this mayhem or problems. Start from your data, start from the narrow, start from what you know, start from the facts. And from there, you can zoom out and start to find correlations and linkages to other problems across different services. With this, you need to rely on your knowledge of the systems, you need to rely on your knowledge of the interfaces, how they are connected, how these dependencies play well together, and then you need to trace it all the way until you find what has started the problem you have at hand. Once you find these correlations, you need to start tracing, and have a story of how did you get to this situation you are in right now? What happened in this particular area? What was the cause of that? And then you zoom out and expand one more time. Number four, when you identify a potential cause, you might want to start mitigations. It's very important not to make multiple changes at the same time. For example, let's say someone deployed something. Do not try to roll back that deployment while, for example, you're muting things, you're changing other stuff, or worse, someone else on your team is trying to also make other changes. And the reason for that is at every single point in time, every change you make at this point, you want to make sure that it is the reason for why you recovered. Because if you make multiple changes at the same time, Coincidentally, you might recover, right? But you're never going to be able to say that this led to that. You want to establish causality, and you establish causality by the process of elimination. Have a theory or a hypothesis of what could be the areas that could mitigate this problem, or what could be the solutions that could mitigate this problem at hand right now. Of course, you're going to have a distribution of which ones are more likely than others. Start from that, and then do them one by one and try to observe the impact of these changes one by one on your service. Did you recover? Great. Give it a little bit more time. Be careful. Sometimes there are lagging indicators, meaning it takes a little bit of time for you to start observing the recovery. Give it that time. You know your services better. You know how they are designed better. You could be making changes sequentially, not giving them enough time, not giving you yourself and the service enough time to recover, and you're also not going to be able to figure out which change led to that resolution. Number 5, look at what has changed recently. More often than not, a lot of the failures that happen it's not magical, it's not something that was unexpected, it's probably someone who deployed something bad. And you will bring that someone who deployed this thing, and they will swear on their life that they tested this, that they cannot see any reason why things go wrong, they cannot figure out why this has caused the problem, and this is normal. I've been there, I've made excuses for some of the bad stuff that I have deployed, but this is part of not knowing what you don't know. Yes, we can test. Yes, we can have automated rollouts. Yes, we can have canary releases. Yes, you can have whatever. But sometimes infrastructure changes cannot be easily tested. And the only way to test them is to actually roll it out in production. And sometimes they also have lagging impact. Like let's say you released something that has changed like a load balancer configuration, for example. And this has not really led to a problem until one of the territories woke up in the morning and started hammering one of your services, and then the problem started materializing. This makes things even more complicated, but it's very important for us to be as less egotistical as possible, not to take it at heart, and to question everything at this point. The only way to know that this release did not really 100% break things is to roll it back. And if it doesn't really mitigate the problem, then this is not it. You move on to the next suspect. Number 6, talk out loud. Communicate with everybody around you. In these stressful situations, a lot of engineers, myself included, and I have had to learn this, we sort of shut down because we want to focus, and we bubble things up. We don't communicate. We don't share what we're thinking. We don't share our hypotheses. We don't think out loud. And we just try to solve the problem and be the hero of the day. This is the worst way of approaching this problem. What you would actually want to do is to just, talk out loud, communicate your ideas, say your hypotheses, say what you're thinking, say what could be probable causes, talk to everyone else, because that could spark ideas from everybody around you. And at the same time, the purpose of that is to keep everybody else involved and everyone aware of the situation and how it is evolving. It's very important, and it's also a de-stressor for you, because you don't have to think about how you're going to manage everybody's emotion, how you're going to manage everybody's thinking, everybody's feelings when things are very stressful. You're just, putting everything out there. It's very important for everyone around you also to understand the pressure that you are under, and to let you to communicate with you in a very non-emotional, flat way. This is a very critical skill to master and to do on the team. And this is a group effort also, not just an individual effort. And this is coming from a very interesting book. I really appreciate it. It's called Turn That Ship Around. It's a management book, sure, but it's also about a Navy general or admiral. He was responsible for taking on one of the worst performing submarines in the US Navy and literally transforming that submarine from the worst performing one to the top performing one. And one of the best things that he has introduced is the communication, verbal and vocal and loud communication in the commanding room, so that everybody else in this room knows what's going on at all times. And this way, there's no need for a single, spoke and hub type of pattern where somebody distributes information across. You just channel events, and everybody learns and knows what they need to do at every single point in time. And this is a very effective way to manage incidents when there are multiple people working on them. Number 7, journal. Write down everything. It's very important to have a timeline of all of the events, when they happened, at which time, Be as specific as possible and describe in very concise and very clear, wording what has happened. Our memories are horrible. Don't rely on your memory for anything. Make sure you write it down. You write down everything that has happened as soon as you take a short break from the incident, because your brain is going to be very fresh with the information and you're going to be able to put it on paper as soon as possible. The longer you leave it, the more your brain is going to fill in the blanks, and what it fills in the blanks might not necessarily be the objective truth, and it could be stuff that you have reasoned yourself, it could be things that you have thought of later, it could be also bad memories. Do not rely on your memories for anything. Write down everything and make sure that everything is properly documented. This is going to be very important for you when you do the root cause analysis, because at that point in time, you're going to discover obviously new things, and you're also going to need to make new correlations between the different events. And it's very essential and important to have different timestamps for when every single thing happened. Number 8, question everything. Nothing is to be taken for granted. You don't know anything at this point. Yes, you're going to have the experience. Yes, you're going to have the knowledge of your service, but everything is up to question. Every single fact that you know about your service is up for question if there are symptoms and indicators that there's something wrong in that particular area. For example, you know your rate limiters work. If you are observing something else, question whether they are actually working or not. If your database is misbehaving, but you can swear that it is up to standard, it's been updated, it's been patched, nothing could go wrong, question that. You have upgraded one of your services or dependencies or databases or whatever recently, and you have read the changelog, and there's nothing that could cause this problem that you have right now, question everything. You have observed a phenomenon that has caused another problem, but you are not confident, like what is this relationship between these two? Question everything. Number 9, incidents are acceptable. This is part of our work. This is natural. We all make mistakes, and not necessarily mistakes. There are many, when software is complex, there are many things we cannot really predict beforehand, even with automated testing, even with having the highest standards in software engineering, even with having the best talent in the world, problems will happen. That is the inevitable truth of software engineering. So incidents are acceptable. Repeat incidents are not. Repeat incidents is basically when you have a problem that has happened over and over again, and it has caused the same amount of destruction, and the blast radius is as big as the previous time. This is a failure on everybody who was involved, because they did not most likely root cause the problem effectively. Maybe they didn't document it properly. Maybe they did do these things and have drafted ways to mitigate this problem in the future or permanently resolve it, but the team that got assigned to fixing this issue permanently did not act on it. And this is a major failure. This is an organizational failure as well, and this is something that should never ever happen. Incidents should never repeat. This is a big failure. If you want a KPI to track when it comes to the health of your software, if you have a lot of repeating incidents, you and the team are not doing great. Number 10, you are not done until all of the elements of the story make sense, and until you are able to establish a full causality line between all of the different events that have transpired, all the way from the root, which is the cause of the problem. So the cause, what has happened as a first consequence, second consequence, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, whichever number of consequences you have, you need to be able to trace it all the way through. First order, second order, third order, fourth order events all need to be tied very clearly, and they all need to make sense. If there is at any point in time something that is not clear, it's not clicking, something deeply technical you don't understand, then your story is not complete, and you will more likely than not have a repeat incident because you did not really solve the actual problem, or you might have left some lingering issues that will cause other problems further down the line. The whole thread needs to be tied very, very tightly. The story needs to make sense, and you can never leave any loose ends. Whenever you have loose ends, you have potential future problems. Obviously, a whole book could be written about this topic. It's a very wide, far-reaching topic. There's a lot more that can be said about this. I have a lot more to say about how to document, these problems, how to do proper root cause analysis, but I'm gonna leave that for another video. I hope you learned a thing or two from this video. And if you have actually applied this in your day-to-day job, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your war stories, and I will catch you next time.